And welcome back to Hannity. So during each year, President Obama's tenure in office, the liberal hosts over at NBC, well, they've been some of the biggest cheerleaders for the president's tax and spend policy, which, by the way, is odd given that many of these hosts, they owe a ton of money in back taxes. Now, this includes Melissa Harris Perry, Torre. They owe tens of thousands of dollars. And then, of course, there's the Reverend Al Sharpton. He owes millions of dollars. So in honor of this epic display of total hypocrisy, the Washington Free Beacon put together a montage of these MSNBC tax cheats telling you, the American people, you better pay your fair share because they only care about spending other people's money.
All do our part. But that's part of the problem. Not everyone does seem to be paying their dues.
Makers versus takers. They give tax cuts and loopholes to the rich, and they act like it's acceptable.
Paying into the collective pot is part of our duty as citizens.
I don't get to opt out of paying taxes once we've made a kind of collective decision.
They're all afraid to vote for even a modest tax increase on people who can totally afford it.
If we want the rich to pay more money, getting them to give out of charity instead of federal obligation might be our only option.
Joining us with Reaction National Review's Jillian K. Melchior is with us. How are you?
Good, you?
All right, so you did a great job on this. You tore this whole thing apart. All right, let's start with Torre, the guy.
Yes.
All right, so he owes what, 59 grand?
More than 59,000, and I just think that's so interesting, given his history of advocating for higher taxes on the rich and demanding that they pay their fair share.
Yeah, and
he can totally afford it.
And Melissa Harris, well, I mean, are they not paying the people over there? Is that maybe they don't have any money because nobody watches? What's going on?
I'm not sure. I mean, you would definitely think that they have enough money to be able to afford it, but tax warrants have been filed, tax liens have been filed, one right after another.
All right, so Melissa Harris Perry, who we just heard say not everyone pays their dues and not everyone's doing their part, she's not doing her part.
She's not. She's not. She owed $70,000 according to tax warrants. She said she's paid about a third of that. But again, this is just hypocrisy.
All right, now we get to the Reverend Al. Now we're talking about serious money. He's been to the White House some, what, 90 times now?
A lot.
And he owes as much as $4.5 million. Did you looked into this?
I have. You know, his tax situation is so complex, and it's always changing because, you know, it is a lot of different entities. But New York Times tallied it up, said $4.5 million. He disagrees with that, but I was looking into it around tax day. In New York State alone, $876,000.
Why is he not in jail?
That's a phenomenal question. I think New York's definitely given him special treatment. He says that he's got a tax settlement. Arrived in it 2008, but you know the balance, according to the New York Times, on that has grown. That is a big red flag because it's supposed to be yourself.
Why do I think if I didn't pay my taxes that I'd be handcuffed, perp walked, and you'd see me, you know, in one of those pictures, a mugshot. There's a dying Senate Deputy Majority Leader in New York, and his son apparently owes $69,950, and he's going to be sentenced next week. Okay, Melissa Harris Perry owes more. Al Sharpton owes more. How come this guy's getting indicted and getting sentenced, and they're not getting sentenced?
I think that's a phenomenal question, and it's one that, despite a lot of digging, I don't have an answer to.
Unbelievable. All right. See, I have an answer. Liberals are only generous with your money. Anyway, that's their definition of fair share.